YouTube Nation, Manvid TV, aka Me TV, aka what you selling? I'm not buying, man. I put it like this: if you decide to buy it, that's on you at this point. You should know by now what these companies are saying about you, what they're doing about you, how they're disrespecting you, and yet you still buy their games. It's on you at this point. I mean, what else you want me to say? It's the same shit, different week at, when it comes down to this. And you know by now all the little tactics that they're trying to use to sell a game. You know this, all right? But I will show you some examples today on who's for gamers, who's against gamers, and who actually doesn't care about gamers. And in all the process, it's all around surrounded by the same media. All around it, all right? But I will say thank you for watching the show. Thank you for sending me information. And we're going to get ready and start off with EA. Y'all know what it is. And they bullshit. Let's get it going. All right, now, EA says that they want to have a 90+ rating at Metacritic for everything, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because first off, that shouldn't even be your focus, all right? It shouldn't. You should know by now, and I'm sure everyone knows by now, that ratings don't equate to sales, okay? Now, we'll also put it like this. You should know, as in the past, we've seen it time and time again, we've seen employees from said company come over to Metacritic and gouge up, push up their own games while kicking down other games, all right? We've seen how it can be corrupted, Metacritic. I don't know why there's so much stock, I should say, in Metacritic. I don't get this, all right? And you also know that, reviewers can always be paid off. We've seen so many reports with that. It's just stupid, all right? Anytime you get, notice we don't really talk about ratings and things here. You notice that? Especially in the comments, you guys don't really talk about it because of the fact of what? Because it's stupid. I mean, seriously, if you give an Xbox game a 90, all right, and you give the PlayStation version an 89.5 or some shit, all right, and people still, like I said, and people argue over that 0.5. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But you guys should know by now, division leads to profit, but doesn't matter. Apparently, things I'm saying today or any other time, people don't like. But you know what? That just goes to show you that I'm hitting on the truth. Anyways, I want to move on. We're going to talk about microtransactions real quick because EA says I won't say very soon. They say within 10 years or so that anyone can predict from 10 years from now. But everything will be free to play. And that it will just be, everything will just have microtransactions and add-ons. Now, we're seeing this now already. So to say 10 years down the line is like, seriously, 10 years? Come on, what's wrong with you, EA? But whatever, it's stupid as far as I'm concerned. But I'll put it like this. Speaking of free to play, Dragon Age Legends is no longer online. However, you can play the offline mode for free. Okay, now I want to move on to Diablo 3. We've talked about this so much, Diablo 3, in previous weeks and what's going on. Well, apparently in South Korea, remember, gamers were so mad about the lag, and then they decided they was going to sue them and they want their money back, and then everybody got involved, and their offices were raided and everything because of what's going on. So South Korean gamers now can apply for a full refund. That's right. So I would say jump on it if you can. If you're really that upset with Diablo 3 and you can apply for a refund, go get your money back. All right? There's really nothing else that has to be said at this point. They're giving you a way out. Take it. That's it. But also, new Diablo 3 buyers get restricted access for 72 hours, and the community is pissed off about it. Look, they're gonna play by their own rules. They don't care. All right? And the thing is, we've seen this time and time. And listen, just last week they said that if your account was hacked, you need to have a warrant to find out why. When did we ever see this in gaming? I'm just wondering. When did we ever see this? When did it ever come down to this? I'm not trying to hear, oh, it's business. No. They didn't take these drastic measures before. Why all of a sudden do we have to get to this point? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why has it come this far? And this is why people are so mad when it comes to gaming. Because when you look back and you see how great it was and how everyone was honest, and of course there's no honor, amongst thieves at this point, because that's what they're doing. And they'll try every little thing to sell you a game and discredit others. Hell, like I said, they'll even pay trolls to come and get you. When did that become company tactics? I'm just wondering. You know what I mean? Like, this is what they do. You have to understand that. But I do want to say that the Kinect, I want to talk about this a little bit, because we always talked about the Kinect, and we heard all the reports about how, the Kinect is being used badly, spying and things of that nature. And I've shown you guys before in previous videos how the Kinect has actually helped people, if you use the technology right. And we've seen it's never, Microsoft that's using, the technology right. We always see it come from a third-party company or a student, we've seen it helped, it's helping doctors do surgery. We've seen it help people with disabled people, with disabilities, be able to play games and actually move and see things. And And now, here's the interesting thing. A developer has come out, and I don't know if any of you are fans of Ghost in the Shell, but if you look at the interface, the way the internet goes, they actually made a game built off of the Microsoft Kinect. So let's see what that looks like real quick. Pretty fun. I mean, I don't know how far it would take you, but here's the interesting thing, all right? Speaking of the Ghost in the Shell interface, for PCs, there's actually one in the making. Now, I looked into this, and they said that it won't be anytime soon, but that they're thinking about changing the way that you navigate on your PC when it comes to looking up stuff on the internet. Now, if anyone, links in the info bar for you guys, but if anyone has any more information, because that's the only thing I can find, please let me know, okay? Now, I need to move on because I need to talk about some games. First off, Saints Row 3, the expansion has been canceled. That's right, it's been canceled, but check this out. What they're doing is they're taking that piece of the expansion and they're putting it into a new Saints Row game. So you will be getting a new Saints Row game, okay guys? Now, I'm going to move on because Sakurai, we're going to talk about Super Smash Brothers. Sakurai said he's doing his best to bring back old characters to Smash Brothers for the Wii U and 3DS. Now, I know a lot of people have been, very, suspect right now of what's going on, but I'll put it like this. Namco is coming in to help with the, with the game, and we'll see what happens. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and I put it like this. Maybe we'll see some Namco characters come to Smash Brothers, like Pac-Man or something. So we'll see what happens. All right, Okami. All right, check this out, guys. Okami HD, this Capcom news, is coming in the fall for the PS3. For what you guys are telling me, it's the third iteration that they've brought out for this game now. I'll put it like this. If you have not played Okami, please play Okami. This is one of those games that, once again, was slept on. It didn't do well in sales. It was a cult classic, and then later, people went back and reviewed it after having a bad review. All right, went back and reviewed it and said, oh, this game is great. They did the same thing with God Hand when they sat there and trashed God Hand and then went back and said, oh, this game is great. So I feel like Okami is definitely worth playing if you haven't played it. All right. Now, here's the examples I was telling you about. All right. One person says, and I'm sure you guys have seen this already, it's from last week, why do people hate EA? And the article goes on to talk about how it's only the vocal minority of gamers who hate EA. Really? Really, and this is from IGN. You have to be kidding me, because I'll put it like this. All right, first off, that's trolling. You know better than that, especially when EA has won the award for, worst company in America. So I'm not trying to hear it's only a minority of gamers. All right, but there it goes again. Once again, trying to discredit you. That's what it is. All right, now, just trying to downplay that. It's not really that serious. But Kotaku comes out and says there's a strange, fascinating story of video games with EA, and they treat them with kid gloves. It's ridiculous. And in the comments, people were pissed off about it. They were very pissed off, saying, they're just kissing EA's ass. MG4 tells you gamers to stop complaining. All right, so right there, they're calling you whiners. All right, it says the Vita doesn't need a price cut. Now, I'm sorry, but it does. All right, if anyone says it doesn't, look, $250 for the game, $100 for what? Memory, and Sony expects to sell 12 million by the end of the year. It needs a price cut if that's going to happen. It's just common sense, all right? Just common sense. Visual Games comes out and says it would be much easier to create a game without having to show it to anyone. Well, of course, because you don't have any expectations. That's what it is. But you should know by now, in these days and times, you need to have a trailer, a demo, or whatever, because consumers are not going to just buy things blindly. It's not going to happen, all right? That would be ridiculous. And when people do buy things blindly, what we call them? Sheep, right? You know, I told you, either go by word of mouth. It's not like back in the day in the 80s. You can go by word of mouth. You know, you need something to sell your game, especially if you're investing so much money into it. You have to have some type of advertising. So, I mean, come on, we know this by now. Now, I want to get into more, into more examples. Now, this is going to get a little hard, because they talk about how video game fetishing makes gamers look bad, and it's about how women are scantily clad, you know, scantily dressed and things of that nature, and how developers are actually making these gamers, when they buy these games, it makes them look bad. It pushes the wrong, how can I put this, stigma towards, you know, the gaming community. Now, it's an interesting read. I would say, you know, if you're interested to read it. But here's something that really gets on, gets on my nerves, because when you guys sent this, it says, there's an article on CNN that talks about how porn and video games are ruining young men's lives, on the basis that men who watch porn and play video games have a harder time getting jobs, a harder time maintaining healthy real-world relationships, etc. This in turn leads to lower grades, less successful careers, etc., compared to women whose academic and workplace achievements are increasing. This is wrong. Absolutely wrong. And I put it like this: if you have to try to link porn and video games together, there's something wrong with you, all right? Last week you called us Nazis, child abusers, and rapists, all right? When you try to compare us. Now you're saying that these are the reasons. Come on, guys. Come on, and women, guys. Gamers in general understand that the media does not give a damn about you. And then I say this because you have to understand as well that these gaming outlets, IGN and all these, even though they're bagging on you, they never, every once in a while, I'll say this, every once in a while, you'll get a gaming journalist comes out and defends gamers. Other than that, they let this roll. They always do. And you want to know why? Because those parent companies own them as well. And we've seen this before. It's nothing new. All right? But it's pathetic that they would say, oh, young men, young men. It may apply to some, especially people who troll and probably use alternate accounts and do all this stuff, because when they play video games, they do all this other stuff. It's possible it applies to them. But other than that, it's not the majority. And that's the problem with the media. They lump you all together. And young men, young men, it's not about young men, all right? I told you before, you have to watch out for the parents.
A California man is accused of targeting at least 20 boys while they played video games in retail stores. 39-year-old Juan Francisco Gonzalez was arrested on May 26th after Walmart security witnessed the suspect assaulting a boy playing video games in the store. Police believe that Gonzalez has targeted other victims at the Walmart and at least 2 other stores in the area since January. They say Gonzalez doesn't remove the children's clothes, but that he has physical contact with them in a sexual manner.
Their attention is focused on the game, and then he would have physical contact with them, not removing their clothing, not putting his hands inside their clothing, but have physical contact with them while they're playing the game.
Gonzalez is being held on $50,000 bond.
And yet, with all this division that the companies cause, within all this confusion that the media causes between the gaming community and the people who are on the outside, it goes to show you that it takes gamers to still show the positive things, but still go unheard.
Hi Sweden. I want to show you guys something. This is what you guys have raised the past 80 days. Almost $1 million for the Horn of Africa, for Save the Children, for children facing the worst hunger crisis in 60 years. I wanted to hit that $1 million live on stage right now. Do you guys think we're gonna hit it right now? Yeah! I've talked to all my audience, to everyone, to the following, and I've gathered and rallied them to get the $1 million here live on stage. So we're gonna be refreshing the page right now, and we're gonna be seeing how the donations are going live. And I want, if we hit the $1 million, I want you guys to go crazy.
We've hit it!
We've hit it?
We've hit $1 million!
We've hit $1 million! We've hit $1 million! Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. The video I'm going to show you guys right now, it's not a PR video, it's not a campaign video. It's a video made exclusively for you guys. The children that you will see in this video are children that has been helped with your money. Those children, many of them, would not be alive right now if it wasn't for you guys. So I'm gonna show the video right now, and I'm gonna be watching it with you guys. From the deepest of my heart, really thank all of you guys. I love you guys. I love Sweden. Thank you guys.
In more positive gamer news, you guys in the Super Mario Marathon raised $43,000. That's right, for Child's Play charities. Thank you guys for doing that, and it's amazing to see what happens if you just play games. It is. Positive things can happen. Now, I want to move on because I want to talk about more games in general, because Platinum Games, for those who don't know, Sega came out last week and announced that Anarchy Reigns has been pushed back to next year first quarter. That's right, which makes no sense due to the fact that the game itself is complete. It's done. Alright, so we don't know why, alright? We're still waiting to hear, from Sega on why they're doing this, because they are the publisher. Platinum has found out now that the delay is happening and has apologized to you fans, which is odd due to the fact that you have to understand that this game is coming out in the first quarter of next year, which means it will compete with Metal Gear and Devil May Cry. Mind you, Platinum has made Metal Gear and Anarchy Reigns, so this will be a good quarter, first quarter, for Platinum Games. It really will. But we don't know why it's been pushed back. I'm still waiting to hear what happens with Sega. Anyways, we'll keep going. Peter Molyneux, yeah. His game Curiosity will feature 50,000 euros of DLC. 50,000 euros. This is crazy. Alright? And I'll play this. I guarantee you somebody will support it. Somebody will. It's just ridiculous. Alright, and in more DLC news, Darksiders 2 Season Pass has been announced. So they're already getting ready to hit you with DLC. Also, the new Super Mario Bros. 2 will have DLC as well. Alright, now, I want to move on because you guys, apparently this was a huge topic. I mean, I saw it time and time again, but you guys kept sending me messages on it. Seth Killian leaves Capcom. That's right. Now, like I said, in my video I had said before that, I wouldn't fire him, I would just demote him. Well, apparently, Seth Killian is leaving, and this is what you guys had said about it, alright? Because you guys sent me some stuff over from Capcom Unity, alright? And you said, just as Seth Killian left Capcom, Capcom has gone Nazi. I wouldn't call them Nazis, but okay. That's just your opinion. It says, banning people on their site for saying bad things about their products. We've seen this with EA and everyone else, alright? I told you, for some reason, it seems like companies do not like to take criticism. If you cannot take criticism as a company, in this field, You shouldn't be in this field, but whatever. It says, I am one of them who couldn't get back, nor lurk, nor post anymore. I am IP blocked from the website. Okay, now look, I've said this before. Why are you going there to begin with? You know how they act. You see how they treated customers. What makes you think they would treat you any differently on a forum? I don't understand. Why do you go there? But I'm telling you, just for one day, I would love to see everyone in the Capcom unity, or at least the majority, for one day, not go on there. You know how bad that would hurt them? I'm just saying. Do you realize what's invested into their website? I'm just saying. But you know what? I'm gonna keep going. It says, I've been a long time Capcom fan. Seems now probably that the fanboy has died. It says, they didn't realize this one person since the 90s as a teenager supports their products. It doesn't mean that I don't, just because I don't like one game doesn't mean I hate them all, all Capcom games overall, it says, how can I interact with friends from Capcom Unity now? It says, we're just PMing each other now, not that united anymore. It says, I really hope Capcom goes down and another company would buy them. No wonder since the late 90s and 2000 plus, people are leaving Capcom because of one reason: bad management. We talked about that before, all right? We've seen many developers leave Capcom, not too long ago. I'll talk about it a little bit because he mentions it here about the lady who, tried to commit suicide. We've seen Ono take a step back a little bit now. I mean, we're seeing all these people, they're pretty much scrambling because they know the ship is sinking. But let's keep going. It says, heck, remember the suicide issue on Dragon's Dogma? It says, to that extent, a person working for Capcom is pushed to that. It's disturbing. It's a disturbing issue. No wonder Capcom's mouth is shut. I'm still waiting to hear, their response on that. Well, I haven't heard anything about Capcom even addressing the issue, but we'll have to wait. It says, man, now I know why a lot of people dislike and hate Capcom and other gaming companies. That's just one reason. All right, that's just one, but you get the gist now, yeah. All right, and also in fighting game news, check this out. Dead or Alive 5, they came out and said that DLC characters are unfair. So they've taken pretty much a shot at Capcom and other people as well, because it really is unfair. Now, I do want to move on about fighting games because this is interesting. Earlier this week, for those who don't know, because the page has been shut down already, fighting games, they had, someone made a Facebook group, right, for fighting games in the fighting game community, and it was called Fighting Games for Niggas and Sluts. That's right. Now, when you guys sent me this information, I looked on the websites, on forums to see what people thought about it on certain websites, gaming community websites, and most fighting fans were like, it's not a big deal, I mean, some were disgusted, but there was some like, it's not a big deal, just play your games and everything will work out. Look, if you're still on this kick where, just play the games and don't worry about anything else, you're an idiot, all right? And I'm going to say that because you should know by now that this is bigger. Being in a community, being a gamer has a bigger responsibility now. You understand that, right? You can't just sit, you can't keep your head in the sand and just say, I'm just going to play games. It doesn't work that way, all right? It doesn't. You have to take a stand. And in these type of things, you have to step up and say something. So, what happens? I and many others stepped up and decided to report the page. And I told you guys about 10, 15 minutes afterwards that everyone reported it, that, hey, it got shut down. You guys were like, that's a quick turnaround. And I said, yeah, because people cared. That's why. There were people in the fighting game community when I was reading those posts that didn't care to do anything. But there were also people that I talked to who don't care about the fighting game community who stepped up and helped shut it down. It goes to show you who's on your side. But yet, I'll still be a bad guy, right? Whatever. I just want to say, anybody who feels as though they don't care about the community in general, I don't care about the gaming community, yes, you do. All right. If it wasn't for the gaming community, you wouldn't have new games, because that's who supports games. That's how the games get made, because there is a demographic, there is a community for it. Just like watching me right now on YouTube. If there wasn't a gaming community, you wouldn't have a gaming section on YouTube. You wouldn't have forums to post on. You wouldn't have Facebook groups to make for gaming. You have to understand, a gaming community has brought games to where it is at today. To say that you don't care is bullshit. You know it, and I know it. That's what it comes down to. And if you still want to keep harping about how you don't care about the community, then guess what? You're not a gamer, all right? Without the community, you don't have games. It's that simple. Anyways, I want to move on. One of you guys have sent me messages about The Amazing Spider-Man, apparently, the game that came out. And I won't talk about this. It says, I just played the game, The Amazing Spider-Man, since I wasn't willing to give the movie a chance because I really like the Tobey ones. So I played The Amazing Spider-Man game. that's fine. If you're not going to give it a chance, that's fine. I really don't. To me, it doesn't even look that good, but it doesn't matter. There's more to it than what people are talking about, especially how Sony had to push out an Amazing Spider-Man movie, because if not, the rights would have resulted back to Marvel. But that's a completely different story for a completely different time. Anyways, this guy goes on and says, the combat is pretty much like Batman, Arkham Asylum, and Arkham City, but it's not as deep. It says, but that's not what bothers me. It says, the side missions in the game are nothing but stuff that's been taken from past games. Like, for example, you have to take infected people you find to areas with tents and quarantines, like Web of Shadows. That was a pain in the ass, all right? I remember that when I played Web of Shadows, and I did not like that, but whatever. It says, the petty crime missions you do is the same. There's no variety at all like there was in Spider-Man 2 and 3 games. It says, as for the collectibles, for things you can unlock like comics, artwork, and character bios, that's expected, but to unlock alternate Spider-Man suits, we have to look for hidden Spider-Man logos. So I'm like, okay, there's more game time and a reason to look for these logos, okay? So it gives you more replayability. It says, so me and other players in forums as well, we go to look for these logos and nothing. It says, we looked everywhere in the game in free mode because that's where they're supposed to be, but yet nothing. It says, so we also found out that Beanox is going to have free DLC for these logos. It says for gamers to look for. It says, so pretty much they're not selling people an original game when it came to the missions. It says, but also a game that's unfinished as well. It says for $60, the free DLC thing is just to throw people off. It says, but that's how I feel. It's fine if that's how you feel. It says, game companies like this are the reason why people pirate their games because of things like this. Why should we pay $60 for a game that's unfinished and charge even more for so-called add-ons and supposed to be in the game? It says, Beanox really screwed gamers with this. Now, look, if what you're telling me is true, it's wrong of them to pretty much take pieces from all the other Spider-Man games, that pretty much is just code, all right, and throw it in their game and say, hey, this is an original product. That's not right, especially if they're using side missions from stuff that we've already seen. I mean, we all know, you should know by now, when you're playing games like The Amazing Spider-Man, you're not going to get much as it is due to the fact that it's only a movie tie-in game. All right, you should know this. You know, the movie's coming out soon. That's all it is. We saw this with Thor not too long ago. The only games that have so far, I would say, passed the bar when it comes to comic games, as we've seen, you know, the Ultimate Alliance games. I know a lot of people like Hulk, Ultimate Destruction. You know what I mean? We've seen, was it Batman, of course, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City. You know, but that's pretty much a standalone at this point. It was supposed to be a movie tie-in at one point, but they delayed it. All right. You have Wolverine, Origins, X-Men. If anyone has not played that game for the PS3, it's pretty damn good, all right? It doesn't tie in with the movie exactly, but it is a movie tie-in game. It has a ton of unlockables and things of that nature. It's a great game, all right? It is, for a hack and slash besides. It's pretty much God of War with Wolverine, so you're pretty much getting Wolverine tearing heads off and carrying on. Also, Captain America wasn't that bad either, all right? It pretty much tries to use that engine of Batman, Arkham, you know, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City as well. So it seems as though comic book games are starting to walk into the phase of, say, Batman, or what, you know, they've created, which is not a bad thing if they can execute it right, all right? But what you're telling me is they're pretty much taking missions and things of that nature to fill the game in a movie, you know, pretty much in a movie tied-in game. You shouldn't expect much to begin with. Yeah, you'll probably have free DLC, or they'll go back on the word and have paid DLC like they did with Ninja Gaiden 3, all right? But we don't know what's going to happen yet. So I would just say sit tight and see what happens. But it is a good example of what you talk about, of how they just tried to shill you into it. It's a very good example. Anyways, guys, I hope that you saw today the examples I was talking about, who's for you, who's against you, who doesn't care. I mean, it's quite obvious at this point. It goes to show you that gamers are still backing gamers. It's just sad that we don't see these positive things pushed into the media when it comes to overall. But if something bad happens, they'll put that shit on TV real quick, won't they? I'm just saying. And I'll put like this also. For all these companies to have all this money, and I put this, like, and when I mean companies, I don't mean like EA or Capcom. I'm talking about the media, the journalism, IGN. They can go to these places and they can interview people. We just saw last week they went out there and was it Machinima? They interviewed porn people and carrying on. You have time to do all this for the hard sell, but you don't have time to show people, gamers, doing things positively, because that's all you need to show when it comes to these media guys. As soon as they try to say something against you, like, really? How about this? And show them that. Shut them right up. But instead, you step back and you let gamers take the brunt of all this. And then all these journalists and all these developers, they call themselves gamers as well. Well, if you're a gamer, why aren't you offended? I'm just wondering, especially when it's constantly being attacked on. We all know that video games is the new thing to attack. It was movies, music, whatever. You know it's the new media to attack. So why haven't you stepped up? I'm just wondering. Anyways, I'm done for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.